in 1854 had you guys been alive to take one. So you would have paid that entire pinch of gold dust to only get to about right here. While you were down here, they would give you guys a short little talk about who knows what back then. But if you guys could afford to pay them a second pinch of gold dust while you were down here, you guys could actually break off parts of the formations and take them home as your souvenir. If you didn't break them off right up here, the entire back wall over here, they broke quite a bit off this area right here as well. You see all the flat and broken areas. And then sometimes these guys were having a really... You guys notice how it has a couple different colors to it as well? There's like a white color towards the base, and then as it gets towards the end, there's more of like a dark brown rust kind of color. So that white color you guys are seeing at the base, that is a mineral called calcite. You guys will continue to see that all over the cave today. That is because all of our formations down here are made out of calcite. When you start to get to those different shades of brown, that just means you are picking up things like iron and magnesium, which is going to give it a different color. So these guys are all known as helictites, and these are a very rare formation. These guys are only found in about 5% of caves worldwide, and we are one of 3 caves within the United States that actually have these guys. So there's a cave in Texas, and there's a cave in Utah that actually have these guys as well. I like to point them out up here because they do make fun shapes. So for you guys that are closer to me, if you notice right here, we do have a little fish, a little shark, completely harmless. They're not venomous at all from what we know, so it wouldn't actually do anything to you anyways. But they like moss, algae, stuff like that that grows here in certain parts of our cave due to the lights. If they're in part of the cave where that's not actively growing, they will just take their pinchers and scrape minerals straight off the wall to eat. This also means they are quite a bit smaller than most of you were probably thinking. These guys are actually smaller than our amphipods. So like I said, our amphipods are only about 10 millimeters big or so. This is the room where I like to talk about all of our formations. So the first ones we're going to look at today are all of these icicle-looking shapes coming down from the ceiling. These guys are known as stalactites. The way that they work, the water comes down from the ceiling, goes around the outside of them, and it comes all the way down and holds on as a little water droplet at the very end. Eventually that water will drop. When it does, it leaves behind just a little bit of minerals, which allows for these guys to keep growing longer. Obviously hits the ground in the same spot over and over and over again, and it slowly starts to build up to create something like this giant white pile in the middle of the room here, which is known as a stalagmite. So these are the two that are constantly growing directly towards each other, and eventually they will connect and create one giant column throughout this room. You don't want to wait for the really big column. I'd say give that guy like 10,000 years, give him a little extra time, and then come back and check him out and see where he's at. However, the water is constantly taking what is known as path of least resistance, so it's always looking for the easiest way out. So you guys will notice they really like to follow cracks and fractures down here. So they constantly look like they're mending our walls back together. And like I said, these guys do make fun shapes. If you guys notice right here, we do have a candy cane.
Is the temperature constantly around?
57, 58. Just super nice.
Yeah.
Wintertime it's warm, summertime it's cold.
Summer 它上面有个那个 theater 有个 taste room 在这里，这很像 circus
还有一些好古董的东西。
对啊，就 vintage store 啊 ，it's a vintage store。Early Americana Colombian lady， 你看 ，people just start to move out。Theater. Watch out for steps. 这有 water。是胖吧？用水的。